Happy Friday to you. My name is Jason Watson, Watson CPA Group. Well, it's our Friday, might not be your Friday, but wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, all those things. Today we're talking about small business deductions, but we're not going to be discussing office and home, home office, car, travel, or meals. We have separate videos for each of those items. Those are kind of like the biggies, if you will. I really should probably put an S here because we do have other videos, plural, for those items. Today we're going to be talking about some of the maybe more obscure or outlier type of business deductions. The first one is commuting expenses. Commuting expenses is whenever you travel from your primary residence to work, to a work location. So let's say you're a traveling sales rep, big pharma, something like that. When you travel from your home to the first customer, that is commuting. And then customer to customer is all generally business travel. And then that trip home as well is going to be commuting. Commuting expenses, mileage, all the stuff associated with those, the parking, tolls, and all that is not going to be deductible. You can change that by making a home office, because now your commute is from the bedroom to the basement, right? So commuting expenses generally not going to be deductible. We can try to help you position yourself so they can become deductible, but generally speaking, no. Country club dues, this is a big one. The actual dues, the membership fees you have to pay are not going to be tax deductible for a business deduction. However, if you were to go there with a business associate and you had a business meal, then yes. And if that meal is separately disclosed on an invoice or on a receipt, then that meal can be deducted, but not the actual country club dues, okay? Employees versus contractors. These are deductions regardless, right? If you have a staff or if you have a contractor who works for you. We'll have more videos on this as well. This is a huge topic, but generally speaking, to have a contractor relationship, that contractor has to hold themselves out to the public as somebody in that trade or profession. So you probably generally can't have your admin be a contractor, okay? People are getting in trouble with this, and we can help you avoid that. Education, another big business deduction potential. The way education works is the education has to improve a current work skill. So your going to school to become something is not going to be tax deductible. If you are already the something, let's say an accountant or an attorney or whatever, and you need additional education to maintain your current work skills, then those expenses are going to be deductible. Continuing education, CEs, CPEs, whatever vernacular you want to use, that's all good. If the education is for a different trade or profession, so let's say you're a doctor and you want to be an attorney, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but let's say you did, going to law school is not going to be deductible. Where we get into some gray areas, and there's tax court cases on both sides of this, is getting your MBA. A lot of folks will say, hey, I'm a business owner and I want to go get my MBA to improve my current work skills. And there again are court cases saying yes and court cases saying no. We can help you navigate through that as well. But one of the biggest ones is getting your MBA. Client gifts, $25 is the limit per person, okay? So if you give a gift to an individual, you can only deduct up to $25. There's some other de minimis rules for like pens and paper and promotional items and all that stuff. But just flat out $25 Visa gift card is the max. However, if you give a gift to a business, not identifying the person receiving it, there are some different rules for that, okay? And again, we can discuss this further in depth as well for your unique situation, but just be aware there are some limits with client gifts. There are some ways to position yourself around them as well. Professional attire, okay? What I'm wearing today is maybe looks nice, but it's not a tax deduction, okay? folks will say all the time, I have to look nice. I have to get my nails done, or I have to get my hair done. I have to be presentable to my customer base or clients. The rule is it's very simple, it's very easy. Anything that can be converted to everyday use, or anything that is suitable for anyday use, is not going to be a tax deduction. So that business suit, you look great, you really do, but it's not going to be a tax deduction. However, and this is a big however, what if I throw my logo on a shirt? What if I do something along those lines? Now, does my shirt become a uniform? Potentially. Okay, so generally speaking, professional attire suitable for everyday use is not going to be a tax deduction. We do have, at the Watson CPA Group, we do have some folks that are on-air talent. We also have some models and some other folks in those kind of in that kind of work. We then will peel off some of their attire and call that costumes, or call that something that's not suitable for everyday use, and make that a tax deduction. But generally speaking, professional attire is not going to be a tax deduction, and the maintenance on that, like the cleaning and all that, is not going to be a tax deduction either. Again, there are some rules we can use. We add a logo, do some other things to maybe convert that into a uniform. That's different, okay? Per diem is another huge thing. Per diem, generally speaking, the IRS can give individuals per diem rate allowances. Meaning if you worked for the airlines, or if you worked as a trucker, or if you were a government employee or something along those lines, those companies can give their staff per diem for being away from home on travel. However, when you own more than 10% of the business, you're not allowed to give yourself per diem. Let's just use a quick example. S-Corp owner travels to San Francisco for 3 nights. That typically would be $71 per night in 2019 terms. However, because that owner owns, because that employee, if you will, also owns more than 10% of the business, they cannot do a per diem allowance and deduction. They have to do actual expenses for those meals and not do a per diem allowance and deduction and reimbursement. So be careful on per diem. The one tiny exception to this is LLCs, just single member, disregarded LLCs, may take a per diem allowance and deduction for meals, not for lodging. Lodging is still actual. Okay, actual expenses, but once you become a corporation, an S corporation, all those things, that goes away. Section 199A, this is a massive topic. This is the new qualified business income deduction. We have written several articles on this. We might even make a video. Right now we haven't on this. We actually consumed 2 chapters in our book just on Section 199A in the qualified business income deduction. That, generally speaking, is a 20% deduction of your net income. If you have $100,000 worth of net income, after all your expenses, we take 20% or 20 grand and deduct that right off your taxable income, okay? That's a huge topic. There are some limits and rules and all this other stuff, and we can explore those with you as well. Here's the trick, though. Here's the holy grail. People call me up all the time, Jason, how do I save money on taxes? Well, easily, right? You can either work less or spend more. That doesn't sound like a great idea, right? And we don't want to create tax deductions just by spending cash. So what's the trick? What's the holy grail? The trick is to go through all the cash that you're already leaving your body, or you're comfortable with leaving your body. So go through your check register and say, okay, was that a business deduction? Could that have a business connection? Because you don't want to make operational decisions based on the tax effect. You want to make operational decisions based on operations. So when you're spending money for your business, from your business, that's good operational decision making. Now, can we go back and try to find a way to make that a tax deduction? So that's the trick, is to find expenses and cash that you're already comfortable with leaving your body, your company, checking account, and try to find a business connection for those expenses. Anyway, small business deductions, We have other videos on office and home, car, travel, meals, all the biggies. Here's some other ones that we address commonly with the people that we talk to. If you need more help on this, give us a call, send us an email. We've got our book out there, Taxpayers Comprehensive Guide to LLCs and S Corps, has a whole chapter on this stuff, and we'd love to help you. Thank you. Again, my name is Jason Watson with the Watson CPA Group.